Good morning, guys. Today's lesson is all about multiplying tens, decimals by 10, 100 and 1000. Okay, so let's get started. I've got a question here. 1.5 times 10. 1.5 times 10. Well, let's have a think about what that means. We're doing 10 times 1 and 10 times 0.5. So 10 times 1 is 10. And 10 times 0.5 equals, well, I'll tell you it's 5, but we might find that tricky. Put them together, we get 15. 10 and 5 is 15. But there is a little trick that makes things a bit easier, and you should be familiar with it. We're timesing this number by 10. So what we do, we take the number 1.5, and we just move, we keep the decimal place where it is, and we just move the number one place to the left. So it hops, it goes like this, one place to the left, and we get this number here, 15 point. Well, I suppose that's 15.0, so all that means is just the number 15, okay? Now, why do we move it just one place to the left? Well, it's because 10 has just 1 0 after it, okay? So 1 0, we move it one place to the left. Let's have a look at this. 2.4 times 100. Well, you guessed it right, we've got two zeros here, so we're going to move 2.4 two places to the left. So let's do this really carefully. The decimal point stays in the same place. We go 1, 2 places to the left. Now we've got here 24, a gap, and then a decimal point. So we need to fill that gap with our placeholder, which is the 0. We get 240 point. Well, that point is now meaningless, so it's just 240. Okay? And then we've got here 0.58 times 1000. Well, you guessed it right. 1000 has got 1, 2, 3 zeros. So we're going to move this number 3 places to the left. We need to do this really, really carefully. We go 1, 2, 3 places to the left. We've got one space there. So we put our 0 in here. And we get, well, what does this mean? 0.580. Well, that 0 there is meaningless. We can cross that out. And that decimal point doesn't mean anything. So the answer is 580. Okay, try these yourself. Pause the video and I'll answer the questions in a second. Okay, I'll reveal the answers. 3.5, well, I'll tell you a little trick. We should always estimate before we answer these. It just stops us getting crazy answers. So 3.5 times 10, well, what's 3 times 10? It's 30. So our answer should be 30 something, shouldn't it? That goes one place to the left, we got 35. 8.9 times 100, well, 8 times 100 is 800, so it's going to be 800 and something, 890. And 0.7 times 1000 is 700. Okay, let's have a look at this one here. We've got, let's just cover these, 8.09 times 100. Now, what makes this one a little bit tricky is that we've got this 0 here. And in my experience, children sometimes think it's okay to just get rid of the 0, but it's really important, because that 0 is between the 8 and the 9, it needs to stay there, okay? So let's do 8.09 times 100. It's got 2 zeros, so we're going to hop 2 places to the left. So we go 1, 2 places to the left, and we get 809 point something. That doesn't mean anything. It just means 809. Okay? So just make sure that 0 stays there if it's between two numbers. Have a go at these 3 here. Pause the video and unpause it when you've finished. Okay, 7.06 times 10. We got, well, let's estimate. 10 times 7 is 70, so it's going to be 70 something. 70.6. Look at those numbers. 706 in a line. 706 still in a line. 21.08 times 100. Well, 100 times 20 is going to be 2,000, so it's going to be 2,000 and something. We get 2,108, and look at those numbers, 2108, 2108. They always stay in the same order. The 0 is still between the 1 and the 8, isn't it? And then 50.03 times 1,000. Well, 1,000 times 50 is going to be 50,000, so that gives us an idea of roughly what the number is going to be. We've got 2 zeros here, so those need to remain. We get 50,000 and 30 because we had a gap after the 3, which we filled with a 0. Okay, let's move on. This one is a bit different. It's 8.4 times something equals 840. Well, for the learning objective, we're multiplying by 10, 100, or 1,000. So the answer is going to be one of those 3 numbers. I'll give you that much of a clue. So it's going to be 8.4 times 10, or 8.4 times 100, or times 1,000. Well, let's estimate. 8 times something equals 800. What do we think? Have a think about that. It's going to be 100, isn't it? Because 8 times 100 is 800. So there we go. 0.6 times something equals 6. Well, let's have a go, shall we? Should we times it by 10? Could be. 0.6 times 100 will be 1, 2 places. 0 times 1,000 will be 1, 2, 3 places. That would be far too large. So have a think about what the answer is. It is 10. Okay, 0.6 times 10 equals 6. And this one here, 0.067 times something equals 67. Have a think about that before I reveal the answer. It's 1,000. Let's test it out, shall we? 1, 2, 3. And we get 67. You can ignore those zeros. You can ignore the decimal point. It's just 67, isn't it? Okay. Have a go at these 3 here. Pause the video and I'll reveal them in a moment. So, 7.5 times 100 equals 750. 1.04 times 1,000 equals 1,040. And 0.09 times 10 equals 0.9. Right, that's the end of the video. The questions are all similar to these ones we've been doing. Get in touch if you're finding anything tricky. Thanks for listening.